Hello, hello. How are you all?
Very well.
Okay, Jean, I am loving this brooch.
Thank you. I needed some flair. It's super overcast this morning in San Francisco. I needed a little.
Yeah, it is delivering 1000%.
Thank you.
Are you in San Francisco proper or somewhere else?
I am. I'm here on Jackson.
Great.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Yes, it is so nice to meet you. Thank you. Where did you come from, if you don't mind me asking? As in, like, where did you find me?
I know that's such an existential question.
Yes, or you could take it that route, actually, if that's more fun.
We don't have time for that. Moonbeaming podcast.
Oh, gosh, yes, we had so much fun. That was a great chat. Absolutely.
It sounded like it.
Hey, Shayvite, how are you? Hi, Anastasia.
Hi. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, let's just jump on in and see Kylie for a minute or a day or two or whatever it is. So
always jazz for some Shayvite time.
Oh,
I love
sweet.
this mix of new faces, familiar faces. What a treat. Also, full confession, I stayed up way too late last night reading my book. So you're all giving me a good like zhuzh of energy.
Must have been a good book.
It was a fun book. That's the vibe these days. Hi, Anastasia. I don't want to say anyone's name wrong. Is it Chaya? Let me know. Welcome. Welcome. It's so nice to have you here. Hello, Lisa. Hello to everyone watching the replay. I'm so jazzed about this workshop. I'm so delighted to have you all here. All right, we might have more people come on in, but I want to kind of just jump in and get us started. One of the things I just love to do in the beginning, those of you might know this from other workshops I've done, is just say be humans first. So my question has nothing to do with our businesses and just more about you as a creature in the world. And I would just love to know, what is something that's bringing you joy right now in the past, 36 hours, 2 months, you pick the time frame, but what's a source of joy for you these days? You can just jump off mute and share if you want to. And anyone who's tuning in and does not feel comfortable speaking, that's also totally fair. But I just love to make these kind of warm, intimate spaces when we can, because a lot of the internet can feel, anonymous and noisy. Yeah, go for it, Jean.
I'll go first. Wait, can you see? The peonies. Can you see? Okay.
Yes.
This is all, okay. Welcome to my home. This is all joy. Every day I wake up, this is the first thing I see. Done.
Okay, so the peonies have just started to like soften open, and I have a peony on my arm. There
you go.
Terrible.
So that's the first thing you see every day too.
Yeah, yes, they are. Peonies are such an exquisite example of like explosive joy, right? They're so over the top. They're the most over the top flowers, which is one of the reasons I love them. And, like sewing the theme of our workshop, I learned a couple of years ago that the ants eat the sugar off of the outside of the peony so that they can pop out of their tight little bud. And what a beautiful reminder that like our explosive wild joy needs other people to help us out.
Beautifully put. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for bringing in the peony magic right from the start. Oh, we're gonna have an A+ workshop. Welcome. It's nice to see your face. Is it Chaya?
It's Kaya, actually.
Kaya. Oh, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Chico, California.
Oh, awesome. Lovely. What's bringing you joy?
So I just came in a little bit late. I heard flowers. That has been bringing me immense joy lately. But the thing that's most top of mind is yesterday I went to my first ever ecstatic dance, and that was really fun. I love to dance. I used to dance mostly in like a party atmosphere, so to be doing it in that way was really, really fun.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we don't really, I live in New England, and I haven't found a place nearby for ecstatic dance that I could go to, but thank you for bringing it back to my conscious mind, because it
Yeah,
just,
I did drive an hour and a half to get to this one. So
that
you're
feels
not
worth
that
it.
far from New York. So you could always,
That is a good point. That is a
Yeah.
good point, actually. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I love it. Okay, ecstatic dance, peonies. So I'm also a big, like, to me, it's a lot of this is about like patterns, and I really love that already, this are like really, just really beautiful examples of vibrant joy. So anyone else want to drop something that's bringing them joy? And welcome, Rochelle. So happy to have you, pal.
Hi, everyone. Can I just jump in since I'm saying hi with the joy?
Please, go for it.
Okay, it's this Piscean sea of possibility. And I recently had it drop in to savor the moment of not knowing where the next steps are going to take me, because soon the path is going to show up and the energy is going to change from the dreaming and visioning to the doing and being. And it's not going to be like this forever. So I'm just appreciating this new perspective. And that's that.
Okay, well, now I'm crying. So great, great work, Rochelle. I love this for you, and I am grateful for you for bringing that forward, right? Because especially in transitioning to talking about our businesses, to be entrepreneurs is to always be in the unknown to some extent, right? And so how can we play and dance in that unknown while also feeling vibrant and alive and safe? These are some of the questions that are kind of always running through my mind, and some of the questions that I bring here. So thank you all for those gorgeous shares. Hello, Dr. Liz. Love you. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too, my love.
Thanks. Okay, we just did a round of people sharing joy, and you showed up just in time for the official Kylie's agenda portion of the
I love a good Kylie's agenda.
So, for those of you who are new to me, I am a money and business coach for witchy and spiritual entrepreneurs. And in particular, I like to teach at the intersection of strategy, mindset, and magic, right? And finding the place where we pull in from all of these places. Some of the tools that I love to use are shadow work. I'm a big believer of leaning into the places that feel like they are fearful or scary and making them recognizing how much love and safety actually lives in those places. And my professional background before I started doing this work is sales. I spent over a decade as a sales executive and a sales director. And when I first started my business about 4 years ago, I was really adamant that I was done with selling. I was done with business. I was going to be a healer, and that was that. And then every single client who showed up was trying to start a business, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll use this decade of sales experience. But what was interesting about my own journey, just in snippet form, is that the first 10 months that I was in my business, and some of you might know the story, so forgive the repeat, but for the first 10 months in my business, despite having consistently sold over $1 million in these various corporate roles, I made myself one single dollar. And it was a real wake-up call for me, because I had all the skills in the world, right, of how to sell, and also I couldn't figure out for a little while how to make it work for me. And what started to shift things for me was the deeper energetic work, was the kind of shadow work and mindset work around my relationship to money and power and being seen, which I'm sure all of you have dabbled in to various extents already. And once I started doing that work, things took off really quickly, but they also took off really quickly because I had had a decade of fumbling around about strategy, right? And so what I want to speak about today is looking at specifically the strategy and the actions that we take in our business, but how we can pick strategies and actions that work for us instead of these kind of externally prescripted rules of what a business should look like. Because I find when we can bring the mindset and the kind of deeper energetic work with a strategy that actually works for you, things take off, and they take off quickly. So within 6 months of that first dollar, I was working for myself full time, and I'd replaced my sales director strategy, right? And of course, the road is bumpy, right? So I'm not going to ever pretend some story of like, and then it was unicorns and rainbows for all of existence, right? And also, I think this is really the sweet spot. And there's a lot of great teachers about your inner gremlins and your and like your money blocks, a phrase I have, don't love, but has some usefulness. And there's a lot of resources about different types of strategy, but I want us to kind of find a home at the intersection of the two today. Does that make sense? A little context for today. So if you have a notebook, that's awesome. Hello, Mika. Welcome. So happy to have you here. If you have a notebook, that's great. And if not, feel free to jump up and grab one, or just sit and answer the question in your own heart. Here's where I want us to begin. Putting your business to the side for a section. Oh, Mika, do never apologize to me for being late. That is my zone of genius, is to show up 2 minutes late. So for a minute, to put your business to the side, just drop into who you are and how you live your life. I want to ask you to imagine what love feels like. However you describe it, however you experience it, in your body, in your heart, emotionally, physically, what is the experience of love?
Kylie, can you repeat the instruction real quick?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. What does love feel like for you? What is the experience of receiving, feeling, being love? And if you want to drop a few words in the chat box, you're also welcome to do that. Okay. Anyone want to just quickly toss out what came up for them as they sat with that question? Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Liz, and then Shavite.
So mine was really sad. Especially like I'm in a beautiful relationship, but what came was love is conditional. It has an expiration date. There's a need to constantly remind them of why they started dating me and chose me in the first place. Need to constantly affirm that I'm doing enough in terms of pulling my weight with the house. Just like fear and shame, and a need for a backup plan because one day it will end.
Oh, I just love you so much. Thank you for bringing all the fucking juice, right? Like right out of the gate. Yeah. So you've already jumped to like, point 3 of the talk. Great work. Not surprised.
You're welcome.
A+ student, Dr. Liz. But yeah, because love is fucking complicated, right? It is the thing that we are hungry for. It is the place that our like authentic self exists most freely, and it is like it is the truth that is there for us. And also, it's complicated. right? And you put forward so beautifully some of the ways in which we experience conditions on love, right? And that we have to prove it ourselves. We have to earn it. We have to be in the grind of making sure that we get to keep love. So yes, thank you, tucking you tenderly into my heart. And I know you're not alone in speaking that is a thread running through love and business for a lot of us. Javite, do you want to share what you had?
Yeah. So I just wanted to do this for Dr. Liz. And also that she's outside too, which is great. I noticed. Okay, so I'm just gonna say what I put down here and then maybe pontificate for a second. So what is the experience of love? So I literally wrote down deity, nature, pets, which can include all animals, even if they're not under my care per se, friendships. And then next to that, I wrote allowance of being and of being accepted. And then you followed up with where our authentic self is seen and appreciated. I've been really fortunate with my friendships, my real close friendships, my 30-year friendships, that those are not in my family. All right, that's not my family. So the last couple, what were the last 5 years, but in really the last 2 or 3 years, and specifically even the last 6 months, it has been a real understanding that even though I have people who are relatives to me, like brothers, sister-in-law, and even my parents have now passed, that people who just don't see me don't value me. And that has been a real heartache and a real freedom, because what that did was even allow even more appreciation and desire to make sure the people in my life who do value me, see me, appreciate me, and allow me to be who I am with all my flaws and all the shit that's been going on for like since I moved here a year ago, to even express that even more and be able to even feel that even more. So, and especially that really does also focus on like deity and my spiritual connections with deities, plural. So that's kind of what I came up with. So that was a great question because it was a nice reminder to just kind of open up more of that appreciation without having any shame or guilt or feeling manipulated or having to feel like I have to justify or any of that shit. So that's what I got. So thank you.
Shayvite, I love that. And I love what you're speaking. One of the threads that I'm hearing you speak to is our capacity to be the authors of our experience with love, right? That like you got handed one storybook and you were like, no, right? Like I'm not like, that's not the final chapter. That's not where this ends. And so I really love, again, just like the peonies and the dance are like dropping in to, anchor us in joy in the beginning, we have the complicated relationship a lot of us have with love, and also the agency to continually be rewriting our experience with love. Margarita, thank you for joining us. Christina, welcome. So jazzed to have you here. The kickoff question was what is your experience with love? And what's interesting too, what I had, in my mind when I dropped this question was really curious about kind of your somatic and emotional experience, right? Like, how do you experience love? Like in your body or in your feelings? And y'all took it like 10 levels in like deeper and wider, and I am so grateful for that, which is why I always am so thrilled to teach in community, because you all are bringing so many additional layers. Very scared of my body. Fuck yes. Thank you, Liz, for speaking that, because it is true, right? Love and joy are things that we want, and also they are not always actually comfortable. I still remember one of the most uncomfortable therapy sessions of my life was my therapist being like, so we're just going to sit here and you're going to feel how much people love you. And I was like, oh, I hate this. Can we go back to me talking about my problems? Right? So yes, thank you. Jean, you had raised a hand, and I think Rochelle also had a hand up. And Kaya. So Jean, Rochelle, Kaya.
Thank you. I want, first of all, I recognize and completely honor what Shavite and Dr. Liz both said, but I took the question literally, what does it feel like? And I just went straight here.
Yep.
I will tell you what it feels like, because certainly it has felt like lots of things, but when it's love, when it's really love, this is how it feels. And it's all physical, and it's a deep relaxation and release. It's a brightness and a buoyancy. It's like floating in water and knowing that it's going to hold you up.
Oh, floating in water and knowing it will hold you up has been like the medicine for me and all of my clients for the past 2 months. So chef's kiss.
Well,
yes.
Thank you. I don't live there. Let me just say, I don't live there all the time.
We touch in. Yes.
You asked me, what does it feel like what does it feel like when it's really there? That's what it feels like.
Thank you for speaking.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yes. I could not love that more. Rochelle and then Kaya.
Mhm. Yeah, I kind of went along Jean's line of thought, I think. And the succinct version is safety to be authentic. But I kind of had this word association. And so when I just tapped into what it feels like to experience love, I went cuddles, safety, warm embrace, relaxation, comfort, contentment, no expectation to be or do anything, and present.
Oh, okay. I love this. And I also want to offer, for those of you who took a narrative approach to the question, right? Like, what is your history with love? I would tuck in that perhaps as a like optional homework assignment, you begin to note for yourself what your kind of somatic experience for love is, because I think it will be helpful later as we progress. So you don't have to do it right now, but just note that might be a place of curiosity. Kaya, do you want to share?
Yeah, so I went for what I think it feels like when I really tap into that pure energy of love, because I do have an anxious attachment style. So I could go into all those feelings that I feel, but to me, that's not what love actually feels like. That's all that other bullshit that my dad gave me, so.
Thanks, Dad.
So I really like the floating in water and knowing it will hold me up. I think as I was writing, that's the same kind of thing I was saying. I said, peace, generosity, non-attachment, flow, brimming, blossoming, becoming, being.
Yes. Thank you for that. So I could go around and hear from everybody. And also we are on one of page 4, and I don't want to keep you here for 1,000 hours, even though I think we could probably have fun. So I'm going to drop us into our second question, which is dropping into your body, dropping into your heart center or your solar plexus, or whatever part of your body maybe wants to speak up loudest. What does fear feel like? What physical or emotional sensations come with fear? And when you're ready, I won't drag this out too long because fear is not the most fun. So, okay, Dr. Liz has shared constriction, panic, frozen, racing thoughts, twist, and Mika is sharing twisty shape in my belly. Oh, I know that one. Constriction in neck, face, belly, chest. Need to have a million backup plans. If you want to either drop in the comments or come off mute and share your experience of fear. Yeah, go ahead, Shavite.
Okay, so I just totally stuck with what, dropping into the body.
Mhm. Liz would be
Adrenaline.
proud.
Right, Liz would be proud. For sure. Adrenaline. So heart seizing, shortness of breath, can't breathe very well, and there's a terror of not feeling physically safe.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. 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 Okay. Thank you so much. And Margarita also is saying feeling unsafe. Christina's so uncomfortable, desperation to get away from it, tight, alert, hyper focused. Lots of people talking about their stomach, about clenching, right? So here's the thing about fear, and I'm sure you all have touched into this, but I want to offer, from my perspective, fear is neutral, right? We can make fear the enemy of love, and I actually think fear is merely a portal into greater experiences of love. And also, fear often causes us to act in a way that creates even more discomfort, right? It's like you're scared and your muscles clench and then things hurt more. Like, right, my daughter had to go get a shot the other day, right? And it was like, okay, don't actually clench because you're scared, because it's going to make the shot hurt more, right? So thinking about how we can stay soft, right? Stay soft in the face of fear is one of the through lines of the space that I'm interested in holding for us. And like Jean said in the beginning, like, I don't live there, but I touch in and I touch in and I touch in, right? So here is my third question for us in this exercise. I want to invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Maybe take a few centering breaths. Maybe dropping into your belly or your heart. And if that doesn't feel accessible, simply noting. And I want to ask you to invite the energy of your business itself forward, the running of your business. How does that feel? Does it feel like love? Or does it feel like fear? Perhaps we take a moment to observe a fragment of our business. Perhaps we pull out the thread of serving our clients or creating the product of our business, the part that we really love. And maybe we notice for a moment how that fragment feels. And then we roll that thread back in. Maybe we pull out another thread, the thread of the running of our business, the selling and promoting. How does that feel? Perhaps we pull that thread back in and we tug on a new thread that's about strategy and action. What shows up here? What's the physical sensation for this thread? Making nothing wrong, even as we might find discomfort. And when you're ready, if you want to spool back in the threads, or perhaps you want to let them roam free, whatever feels most nourishing, come back up. And perhaps you take a moment to jot in your journal if anything stands out to you about the story, sensations, or emotions around love and fear in the running of your business. when you're ready, I'm sure that's probably a question that some of us could go down for a while, but when you're ready, I'm curious to hear from anyone if they want to share, if anything stood out for you in that final question. Yeah, Kaya.
The part where I'm actually connecting with clients or connecting with people felt like love. It felt like a thread from my heart to their heart and another thread to source. And then the part about promoting felt like fear. And then the part about strategy, like I immediately just started going like this. And it felt very like this, like patriarchal, like aggressive, which is really interesting because I like that kind of stuff. So it's interesting that in my body finds it so aggressive.
Yes.
Violent. It was like violent.
Yes. Oh, I have tears in my eyes already. You guys are so fucking great. Yes, 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 yes. And I really love you noticing that you enjoy that part, right? That you enjoy the strategy, and also there is this like patriarchal aggressive energy that doesn't feel good for you, right? Margarita said same. Rochelle has raised a bear paw. Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, with the clients, I just felt like this dropping in of like deep compassion and space holding. And then with the producing products, which I love doing, I got really excited and inspired. And then for running, selling, and promoting, I just put yuck. And then again, with a strategy and action, I got this sense of like gearing up for a race and adrenaline and excitement, which kind of like, yeah, I have a big resistance to competition. And yet I love the idea of like a challenge and like something to do and ticking things off my list.
Oh, I love this combo, right? Again, how beautiful, because we're all paradox, right? And so we're getting the sense that it's not either or, and also how delicious for you, Rochelle, because knowing you, I love you seeing that perhaps you don't like competition in the traditional sense, and also there is this part of like, yeah, like let's go on an adventure, like let's overcome an interesting set of challenges, right? And that's living in there alongside the yuck. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Anyone else want to speak to anything? Sorry. Yeah, Shivite. You're on mute, pal.
All of the above, but I would say an overarching feeling that shows up for me is the sense of hurry. And that sense of hurry immediately shuts me down into a place of fear and procrastination because it takes me out of the moment. And instead of just being present and enjoying strategizing, which I love doing that, which I hear a lot of people like really enjoy doing that. And then it takes me into this place of must have product. And then it goes into a space of like, this must be transactional to be successful. And I don't see that's accurate. That's not really accurate. So if I focus on the things that I do like doing social media and all of that stuff, but that sense of hurry that I'm just not doing it fast enough, I'm not doing it perfectly, I'm messy, your word, messy, right? The word. And, I'm not, anyway, currently my focus is on creating objects that people can use to help themselves through my Amazon publishing page, publishing stuff. So in a way, it's like weird because it's like I have such resistance about details, about digging into figuring out how does Amazon KDP work? How can the best way for me to advertise in marketing? And do I want to do that? Not really. Do I want to know all that stuff? Not really. But I need to know that stuff, so I got to make it fun in some way because it feels very capitalist and it feels really patriarchal and it feels like it just kind of like tugs everything into this mire of not why I'm doing that in the first place.
Oh, just setting me up for the perfect assist. Thank you very much for that transition.
Sure.
Because look, this is the dynamic for us, right? Is that there are kernels. The serving of your clients or the creating of the product is like the thing that I suspect most of you truly love, right? And then there's this infrastructure wrapped around it that feels, to use Rochelle's word, like yuck, right? And in there's elements that you like, there's elements that you don't like, there's elements that you think are required that don't feel good in your body, right? And there are things that feel required that create a kind of prison for us, right? So what ends up happening is that we have kind of one of two modes, right? We either, to Dr. Liz's words, get into this like hustle grind, right? Go, 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 this kind of relentless, exhausting thing, which can easily lead to burnout or resentment and this like real deep feeling of undernourished. Or we get in this kind of space of paralysis, right? Which is like, I'm either overwhelmed or all of the options feel yucky. And so I'm just going to stay here kind of perpetually on the sidelines of my own life or my own business, right? And neither of those are sustainable long-term. Neither of those really get us where we want to go. And also it largely feels like those are the two fucking options, right? And then so sometimes we just vacillate between the two of like, grind, burnout, collapse, hide, grind, burnout, collapse, hide, right? And so some combination of these is happening for most of us. So first of all, I want to make it normal, right? That in this kind of broken model of capitalism, if you're confused about how to build this love-centered business, it's not your fault, right? Even as we tend to make everything, we internalize it. But, I want to also offer that for most of us, our businesses and money are these tremendous places of fear for two big reasons, right? One is because there's the very real concern of having bills to pay, right? Like there are real material implications from your business or from the promise of your business, if it's still a part-time thing and you have a, traditional job, whatever the spectrum is, there's real material needs attached there, right? And so our security and our safety shows up loud. But then there's also this way in which, to the point I was just making, business is a swamp of rules, of self-critique, of judgment, of expectations, of should, of shame, right? Of all of these ways that we think we have to show up that just feel gross, right? So the problem is that most of us tell ourselves, well, more self-critique, right? More of the self-criticism and the judgment and the control and more of forcing myself will get me to the place where I feel safe, right? That is often the model that we're given, right? Is like, just use your willpower, hustle, grind it out, control yourself, and then you can get the reward at the end. But when has that, stepping outside of your business, right? When has that ever worked, right? If you're trying to tend to your relationship with your body, wrapping everything up in self-control doesn't lead you to a place where your body feels like a safe place, right? If you're trying to build a loving romantic relationship, like constantly critiquing yourself doesn't land you in a place where you feel safe and loved, right? So the same model applies here in our business, where we've been taught that following somebody else's rules and judging ourselves and being perfectionists is the way forward. And also we either reject that model and then feel stuck in the sidelines, or we feel stuck in that model and get caught in this grind, right? Does this resonate with anybody? Okay. So I have another option for us. And I'm curious to know, what's my question? Give me a moment. I'm curious to know for you all, if you could take a moment to drop in. You did a nice job of this already. So we can begin to recognize that the serving of your clients or the creation of your product, depending on, what kind of business you have, is a place where love shows up. But I would invite you to plant the seed of the question: where are the other places in your business that you love showing up? And I'm a big believer in planting a question like a prayer, or like a seed, and then letting it answer itself over time. So maybe answers drop in immediately. And also maybe you're in the shower tomorrow and you get a big jolt of insight. But beginning to plant the seed that if I live my life by constantly returning to love, I can also run my business that way. And I can begin to build strategy that is also rooted in love. So then let's talk about what that might look like or what that might mean, right? So I'm going to pause here though. See if anyone has any questions or lightning bolt ahas that they want to share. Go ahead, Jean.
Will you help me out? Just rephrase. I can't quite grasp. I know what you're saying. Will you just rephrase the question? Because I can't get my little pause in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this. So, so we have some places of our business that we know that we love, right? So it's like, you know the phrase working in your business and working on your business. You've probably heard that before, right? It's the idea of working in your business is the like client facing stuff or the product creation. Working on your business is the infrastructure, right? And so the question that the seed to plant is, where, when I am working on my business, what are the parts of that that I love? Or what are the parts of that where love can show up or is showing up? Does that land better? Yeah, thank you. I have a tendency to ask questions where I ramble and ask 6 questions in one. So I really love when people rewind and they're like, wait, what the hell are you saying? Go ahead, Dr. Liz.
I know what you're saying. No, I cut pieces, and the lightning bolt that I got was just this, like, I usually love selling and marketing, like you know that, right? And like the marketing right now feels really sticky, and I keep forcing. I'm like spending every morning like journaling, like what are the key outcomes here? How am I, like, why isn't this working? And I still feel like I'm not, like, it feels just like this set of Legos that I like put together and then it immediately falls apart when I try to pick it up. And it's really frustrating because the product itself, I fucking love. Like, I fucking love. And it's like the continuation of the mastermind that I'm teaching right now. And I just did a one-on-one with one of the students in it. And I'm like, this is such my, like, this is what I am here to do. And then when I like sit down to write copy for it, it feels like, and I don't know why. And it feels so forced and stuck, you know?
Does anyone else relate to this, that you have a thing that you love and you go to talk about it and you're like, well, this sucks, I don't know what to say, or just right? Mika's raising hand. Go ahead, friend. Or you're just raising your hand.
I'm just relating. Yeah, resonate.
Yes. Anybody else relate to this? Yeah. You want to speak to it, Kaya?
I'm just starting my business. I haven't actually started it yet. And I think that is very representative of who I am as a person. I don't know if you guys know Ayurvedic types, but I'm very Vata. I have lots of ideas. I have so many, like, I love thinking about it. I love talking about it. And I remember in one of the podcasts I listened to of you said that you're a very action oriented person. So like, I need some of that because I love the planning. I love the brainstorming. I love all that stuff. And then when it comes to actually making it happen, it stops feeling fun and exciting. And it starts feeling like homework, or like, it feels like I start to get into this victim mentality where it's not something I want to do anymore. It's like something that the world is making me do, even though I want it to be done. So I really would love to feel like I like can bring love into that. And it's like actually something I want to do, because it is something I want to do.
Oh, I just love this so much. And I want to say, I relate to this. I know this. Right before I had this, right, I have ADHD. I have like whatever, like, whether it's my like astrological chart or human design or like whatever you slice it, I am a woman of a trillion ideas who like loves to start things and is like 50-50 on finishing them. So like, I see you, right? And I will share well, two things. One, from my own personal experience, all of the projects that I started and didn't finish, that I had such a story of like, God, you just don't finish things. You don't hold yourself accountable, right? I had like some real grief and pain there. And also I can now see how every single one of those like projects that didn't launch was just launching me closer and closer to this space, which is still launching me along, right? It's still an unfolding journey, but I no longer see them as black and white, and I see them more as like each one was birthing me until I got to the one where, you know, I called my former mentor to be like, okay, I need your support. I have this group program I want to launch. And he looked at me and he said, is this the work? And I immediately started to cry, and I was like, yes, this is the work, right? And so then I had my own experience was like that part of me who'd been like lurking in the background, like showed the fuck up, right? She was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the thing we are here to do, whether it is because it feels like how to be of service or because it just lights us up so friggin' much. So that's one thing that I want to offer. The other thing I want to say is forever and ever and ever, I will share that there is no such thing as self-sabotage, right? That is a phrase that we love to throw around, and every single thing that we do is self-protection. Every single thing that we do, even if it seems very destructive, it is an attempt to protect ourselves, right? And so we have a tendency to use self-critique as a motivator, and it's really limited, right? And so if you have if any pattern that you see in your business or in your life that you want to change, one of those powerful questions you can ask is, how is this pattern serving me? What am I getting out of this, right? Who am I protecting? What part of myself am I keeping safe by continuing to stay in ideation and inaction, right? It strips away the shame and judgment, so there's safety. And also that part of you needs something, right? He has a hunger and a need that's valid. Rochelle, friend, you had raised your hand.
Oh, I just relate to all of this so much. And it's like, thank God, Kylie, thanks for this workshop, because we all, well, just speaking to the visioning and the, like, there is something that wants to be birthed, but then these details and these technical, you know, like you say, necessities, just, I find they just derail me, and then I get discouraged and I give up because it's just so distasteful. It just takes the energy right out of that vibrant vision. Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, okay. So one thing I want to offer for anyone who feels stuck, unable to birth something because there's like because they hit this kind of wall of despair, perhaps I would invite you to go even deeper on this exercise of like, what are the things that I love and what are the things that I hate, and just get clear on it. And maybe hate is a strong word, but what are the things that like that feel like they just kill me, right? That like I just shut down, because getting clear on those is really helpful in terms of beginning to make a new path. So I'm going to jump to the next one because I also want to swoop back to Dr. Liz's question. So, and tie them all together. So most of us are taught business according to these external strategies, right? Or these external rules. We're taught sales, promotion, strategy, marketing, you name it, that like a couple of different ways. Either someone has given you a list of like, these are the exact steps, and they may or may not work because they may or may not be your exact steps, right? Or you have a sense of rules based on what you have gleaned from the 50 million freebies that you have sitting in your inbox, also guilty, right? Or things that have worked for you in the past that perhaps are no longer working, right? And so you have this set of rules and expectations, and they're externally based, right? And for whatever reason, they feel like slime, perhaps temporarily, perhaps permanently, but they don't feel good. They feel full of that constriction and that fear energy that we were speaking to, right? The problem with them is often one of two things. One is that these strategies or rules they don't honor your particular magic. They don't honor your particular flow. And so like, this is the problem with a lot of exact steps, right? And I often feel frustrated when people are promoting exact steps, because if you, if it's not your formula, if it's not your rhythm, someone else's exact steps won't work for you. To give an example, I have this beautiful client, we've been working together for over a year, and she has this really beautiful ability, and her natural energy is one that's very rhythmic. She has a really beautiful, gorgeous devotional relationship to routine, right? She has a steady meditation practice. She has a tidy house, right? She has a rhythm that is rooted in routine that's really nourishing, that is not the kind of like judgment patriarchal thing that a lot of us sometimes co-opt. And her business, therefore, has this really gorgeous, consistent rhythm to it, even as it's also very cyclical, right? Where her offer is the same, right? She offers a single session, and that single session flows into a 3-month container, and she offers a single session and it flows into a 3-month container, and it works really well for her, right? And she is on pace for that 6-figure year that she wants. And it's a really gorgeous rhythm based on what works for her. I, as I just mentioned, am a pure creature of chaos, right? I have a million ideas. I also have 2 small kids, so I never know what my energy or their energy is going to be in a given day. And I live for the adrenaline rush, right? Like, I am a seeker of serotonin, and my energy does best in waves, right? I love a launch, right? I love, like, doors are open, doors are closed, I'm taking a nap. That genuinely like is fun and delicious for me. And so my business rhythm honors that, right? Which is like, this workshop is the beginning of a launch. It'll run for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to go chill at the beach for the summer, right? And then I will come back in the fall with a whole new big burst of energy, and I'll do some probably even bigger launch, because fall is my season for like big things, right? Meaning, if someone, if the formula that you have or the list of rules that you have isn't in service of how you authentically shine, it will fail you. And it is not your failure. It is just not the right set of rules, right? Not the right set of strategy. And one of the other big things that can also happen is, as we continue to evolve, the things that serve us also shift, right? And so for some of us, right, there was a period, again, using myself as an example, where like posting every single day was really like, that was fun for me. And also it worked for me. And also my nervous system didn't know how to calm down. So it was like, yeah, we got to keep going and posting, right? And then I reached a point where my nervous system was like, yeah, we like rest. Like, that was fun, but like, we're in a new chapter now, right? And so now I post memes a lot of the time, right? Like, meaning the things that no longer serve, they're things that work sometimes begin to evolve because you are evolving, right? So one reason why strategy and structures don't work is because they're not yours, right? And so one of the things that I love to teach is to pull back the veil, is like, let's figure out what your strategy is, right? Let's figure out what your rhythm wants to be. So again, a kind of question that you can tuck into, and this is a little bit where we'll go tomorrow, is to start to take note of like, what is my energy, right? As my client said the other day, she's like, one of the things I have learned working with you is that I get to run my business the way I run my life. So take a look at how you run your life. And then take a look at your business and see where the correlation or where the drop off is, right? So that's point number 1. The other big important thing to note, so this is where like we get to just reject some ideas, right? That's like, nope, that idea of like posting every day doesn't work for me. Bye, done with it, right? The other thing that's really important to note is that oftentimes, there are strategies or techniques or ways of running our business that feel like yuck because we have so much shadow around them. So an example of this would be posting all the time, but never telling anyone how they can hire you, right? Like showing up, being of service, but just not putting a call to action because you don't want to be quote unquote pushy, right? Or it can look like, and so in which case there's some real shadow around, like, you get to ask for what you need and you get to have your needs be met, and you even maybe get to be disliked, and that can also be safe for your nervous system and body, right? Another example of this would be if you decide the strategy is like, I need to be seen, I need to show up, I need to commit to my business. If I want things to change, I have to change. Like, I'm going to do a 30-day live challenge. Well, if your deep-seated subconscious story is that it is drastically dangerous to be seen, that 30-day live is going to be really fucking hard, right? So what will end up happening is you'll be 3 days into your 30-day live and you will get sick. You will be exhausted. You will find everything to avoid. You'll do it and you'll hate it, right? It will start to become a murky experience. But the thing that's beautiful is that when we have this lens of fear as a portal into love, and that discomfort can bring us into ease, then these moments where, okay, I'm trying this 30-day live, it feels like slime. What is happening here? Is it that this is not the tool for me, or is it that I have some deep gremlins that need a moment to come out into the air, right? And that need to be loved and integrated. And this is the dance. This is the whole dance of building a business that you fucking love to show up in, is finding the strategy that really works for your energy. And when you bump into those pain points, letting them teach you how you can love yourself deeper and peel off another layer of what you think you can't be, right? It's essentially, on one side, you have who you think you have to be. And on the other side, you have who you think you're not allowed to be. And those are the stories that we rewrite to create a business that is actually fun to not just serve, but also run. Does this make sense? So what's coming up for folks?
I don't know specifically whatever the last two sentences were. I was just like, yes. Yeah, no, I mean, I think so. My company's birthday, oh, my laptop might go dead. Like, my company's birthday was Monday. I'm 3. And like, in that time, I've made like $330,000. I'm like, okay, that was more than just the bills, but thank you. You know, I'm in awe, and I'm also like, but it wasn't million. Like, you're 3 years in, why aren't you making millions? Where you're consistent 50K months, right? And such fucking nonsense. I have been like berating myself for being tired and like hearing all of this, like it's not fun right now. It's not, I'm exhausted and I don't know what makes it fun again, but like sitting here on the patio, like talking to a client, like that was really fun. Pitching her a 3-month, like that she's probably going to say yes to, like that was really fun. So what is it that's like I don't, it's the mechanics of consistent purchases, consistent leads, like that feels like I just want to face plant into the bathtub and never get up. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I love you so much. I love everything you're saying because I think it's deeply relatable, right? It speaks to the reminder, right? We all have this story that there's a place that we arrive, and at that place, then I get to rest, right? We all have the story that like, there's some amount of money, there's some marker of success. And when I get there, then I'll be good. Then I'll be safe. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll be content, right? And 3 years ago, when you started your business, the amount of revenue you've made, I know that self was like, yeah, when that money comes, that's when everything will be perfect and I will be perfect, right? And here you are, having evolved tremendously, being a brilliant business coach, and also, like all of us, still having this story that's like, well, wait, are we there yet? I'm tired and I'm scared, right? Which on one level, I want to normalize that perfect doesn't exist. And I know you know this, in some ways I'm just speaking your own medicine right back at you, which is why I love being your friend. But it's like, that perfect doesn't fucking exist, right? In some ways, there's something really tremendous that happens when we remember, like, maybe this part of you who's scared actually comes on the whole journey, right? Maybe the goal is not that we eradicate fear, but just that we learn to be soft with our fear instead of grasp and control our fear. That's one thing. But I think the most telling thing that you shared, which again, I think is deeply relatable, is your answer to the very first question, which is like, here you are in this beautiful, loving relationship. And also the story that pops up in this moment is like, you have to keep earning it. Earning love is so exhausting, right? And so I would offer that in this moment, what you're like breaking from is that you get to have love without, or you don't have to earn care, right? You don't have to earn care, whether that care is your partner or that care is your clients or that care is the consistent revenue. But when the story that we carry in our subconscious, in our body, is that we have to earn everything, everything is directly tied to our energy. So that means I'm tired, therefore I can't be taken care of. I'm messy, therefore I don't get what I need, right? And so the story that I think in this very moment is like peeling off of you is love. What if I got to experience that love and care are unconditional? Which most of us don't actually have programmed, right? Most of us as our like human selves have not experienced. And yet that is the very thing that I think we are seeking in our business when we are spiritually minded entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Thank you. My laptop's going dead, so
Okay.
I have to jump off, but thank you and nice to meet you all. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I'm curious if that question around earning and conditional love comes up for other people in their life or in their business. Kai is nodding. Lisa's saying for sure. Shiva's got a thumbs up. Yeah, did you want to say something, Kaya?
My body wanted to, and it unmuted me, but my brain isn't sure what it wants to say yet.
Hi, body. Thanks, pal.
I definitely resonate. I did some work coming up with these self-worth archetypes and the different ways that we need to gain these false ways that we make ourselves feel worthy. And I think that overworking used to be one of mine, and I've completely like flipped the script on that. I'm a projector, and I'm a mental projector, which means I have like no energy ever. So I have like 40 minutes of Zoomies in the evening, and I like am really energetic, but other than that, so I'm like been really, really focusing on just giving myself rest and finding value in that. But I still feel like I'm not going to really matter until I've like achieved some sort of recognition. Once again, like for those of you who know human design, this like recognition from others. And yeah, there's definitely this like subconscious thing that like once I do something, then I'll be like, I could like, my high school classmates will think that I'm, like cool or something. I don't know what it is, but
Yes. Jean, I see your hand hovering over the mute button.
So I have a dirty secret. I suffer greatly because love and care are always conditional. And it's always, I've got a white rabbit in me that's like just waiting for the love and care to run out, right? Always. But, and this might be where the shadow piece comes in. Also in there, along with the white rabbit, and there's like a Chicken Little and the sky's always falling and it's just never enough time, never enough. But here's the dirty part. Inside me also is somebody who is pissed. I've worked really hard my whole life before I even made money. As a child, I've worked forever, just like babysit. I'm like the babysitter, you know what I mean? I've been working and there's this little person who's coming along. And I think it was really when you said who's coming along, like bringing the fear along softly. So there is the person who's absolutely afraid. And then there's this other person who's very resentful. And that spills over to the business piece because that person, as much as the scared person like freezes and faints and is paralyzed, the angry person is like, F this, F your strategy. I should just be getting this because we've already worked. So anyhow, I wanted to just share that because it's not pretty, but it's true. Like that, like, it lives Unfortunately, it's living in here with all that good floaty, all the stuff. That guy's in there too.
You are speaking my love language, friend, right now. Like this, when I was speaking in the beginning, I said one of my tools that I use is shadow work. This is it. This right here is exactly it. Because what we are taught again and again and again is that love and fear are opposite each other, right? We are taught that these parts of ourselves that are angry, that are scared, that are sad, that are bitter, that they are wrong, right? We have created this story, right? This is one of my biggest complaints about manifestation culture, right? Is that by putting so much emphasis on our thoughts and on gratitude, we create this perpetual gaslighting, where the idea is like, if I want the 6-figure business, I got to be grateful. I got to be grateful. I got to be grateful. And meanwhile, you have this 12-year-old resentful self who is like, nope, right? Like, I am not grateful. Actually, I am very resentful. And I remember personally, once I was doing a journey about gratitude because I was doing a launch, and a friend kept telling me like, well, you got to be grateful. And this is like a very dear friend, often gives great advice. And her advice in this moment was kind of triggering, which was its own gift. And she's like, well, you have to be grateful. You have to stay in this energy of gratitude. And I kept trying to make it happen, and it was not. So I went on a journey, and I saw the long line of my ancestors, right? I'm Irish American. I saw the long line of ancestors just like just backbreaking labor and hungry and kind of this like long line of, we have never had what we needed, right? And so don't come on in here and say, just be grateful, everything's peachy keen. Like, no, we're pissed because we have been underserved for a long fucking time. And in that moment of actually giving them a moment, right? So whether you follow a thread of ancestry or the parts work that you're speaking to, which is another favorite language of mine, you give these angry or sad or these resentful parts, instead of making them wrong, you actually honor, like, you're the wisdom keeper. Your angry self is the wisdom keeper. Just as much as that beautiful rabbit is a wisdom keeper. In that moment, right? And I feel like I end up saying a thing that you already know. And also we have to hear these things over and over again, right? In that moment of fully allowing your angry self to breathe, they no longer have to keep screaming, right? Like my kids are teachers all the time, right? My daughter, who's 4, she's mad. She's fucking mad until she's done being mad. Right? And if I try to like tell her like it's fine, I don't say the language, I don't say it's fine, but if I tried to do that, she would just get more mad, right? Like, she is having her emotional experience until she is done. She's a Leo moon with a Pisces sun, for those of you who are into astrology, so you can imagine, right? And I love that for her. I love that so much, even if it's already starting to like, add to the gray hairs, because what she is doing is insisting that her experience is valid, right? And that she's not interested in being muted. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us were muted as kids. And so we bring that language in. And then we get this capitalist rule of business that in order to succeed, you have to just keep sacrificing yourself. Sacrifice, right? And you can't sacrifice your way into safety. It doesn't work, right? So I would offer that your angry self is your superpower. I don't think it's ugly at all. I think it's actually probably the key to, like, yeah. I think she has tremendous wisdom.
Thank you. It's never occurred to me. I'm laughing in like the best possible way, like that this gigantic pain in the ass, bitter could be a superpower.
Yeah.
And I also I don't want to hog the mic, but I will say, you just said that to me. And I realized too that, I come from a line of very resentful, angry women, and I'm not resentful and angry the same way, even though I've got that anger. But what I realize is that the anger in the woman who raised me, my mother, and who raised her, and I have no idea where it stretches into, their anger was not a superpower. because of the circumstances and who they were and whatever. And that actually is a huge thing, is that I can have my experience and have it differently, right? It wasn't a superpower in them, it crushed them both.
I have tears in my eyes as you're saying
Right,
this.
I'm like a little shaky even just saying it out loud in front of a bunch of strangers. But thank you all. First of all, thank you all for supporting that. But yeah, thank you, Kylie. Yeah, it's big. That's really big. It's good. Yeah. I don't know if I want to like cry or throw up. We'll see what.
Why not both?
So pretty. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Woo. All right.
Anyone else have any like, yeah, Shiva, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, because I've been working through a lot of anger, and I think that's a wonderful way of encapsulating it in terms of, like, there's a great meme about trauma work that's like, hey, you know, that little inner 5-year-old, you know, you finally worked with that and got that, and then it's like, and then the angry teenager shows up. So I've been really learning, and this can apply, and it's just such a big picture thing. It applies to so much because it's such an undercurrent, especially Kylie, you said, we don't get validated for being angry. We don't get seen for being angry, and we're not allowed to be angry in our family systems often. And the family systems are informed by our cultural systems, patriarchy, capitalism, they're so ingrained together. And I would also throw in monotheism, but you know, that's another soapbox for me. But yeah, I have been experiencing a lot of anger in a lot of different ways for a lot of reasons surrounding some stuff. And what I came after reading and doing the things is that anger is a way of you're validating to yourself that you were not seen, appreciated, heard, loved, or taken care of. And that, if you want to say teenager, or that voice is angry about it because fuck all y'all who did not take care of me. And now I'm angry about it. Or not now, but now I'm allowing myself a safe space to really be angry. And I'm talking like vitriol, people. I'm talking like burn the fucking house down angry, that kind of anger. And that can also be there if it's not acknowledged. It'll seep. It has for me. It'll seep into other stuff. So Jean, when you're talking about that, I'm like, oh my God, 100%. And I just really wanted to bring up that point of when you move through the hurt and you get to the anger, that anger is very empowering. And Jean, like you said, it wasn't a tool for the folks who came before you, but you can use it as a tool for yourself. And that's really quite a feat to be able to look at it in that way, because people don't like angry people, especially angry women folk at all. Yeah. They just don't. Socially, culturally, in the family systems. So I just wanted to say thank you for bringing that up, because that's brilliant.
Thank you, because I appreciate that. Thank you, Shiva.
Yeah. And so I have a story to share. I love that we're talking about anger because I do think it can be a really dangerous emotion for a lot of us, right? And it's funny because I didn't actually have explicitly planned for a workshop to go into like what I call this monster. I actually call it monster work, right? Which is like all of these wounded parts are our monsters that we tend to reject, right? We push them away, and one of the wildest parts of transformation is when we like welcome our monsters in, right? And I call my retreats Monster School. I'm just laughing that I was like, oh, I'll save the monster work, I won't bring that into the first workshop, and here we are anyway. Two things I will speak to about this. So one is I wanted to offer like a somatic exercise. If you are someone who has anger, but also has a kind of a disassociation from it, which I think is a lot of folks, one of my favorite exercises to do is to go to a body of water, ideally on like kind of a crummy day or where there aren't a lot of people around because you're about to look like a crazy person, you find the biggest rocks that you can find and you throw them into the water as hard as you can and yell as loud as you can. And do that until something cracks for you. And it is such a cathartic release. It is really, really, really transformational because for a lot of us, we experience the story, right? There's one of the things I love to differentiate is like our story from our experience, right? So the story will say, oh, that person was a bitch, or that person was wrong, or that person was inappropriate, or I was wrong, right? We loop on story, but story actually keeps us from experiencing. Story keeps us from feeling. Story keeps us from actually metabolizing, right? So when we create opportunities for ourselves to feel, in this case, the emotion of anger, then we can metabolize it, which means we also get to receive its wisdom, right? So the wisdom of anger for me is often the reminder that I am not small, right? My anger is often the reminder that I have tremendous power. And an anecdote that I will share is I once had this really topsy-turvy experience in my business where a whole bunch of personal seismic shifts were happening at the same time, which were in some ways really painful, right? These like deep inner children stuff that I was like, oh, I've been ignoring you for 30 some odd years. Hi, right? And as I was processing all of that, my business like just slammed on the brakes, right? And so revenue had dried up. And so I was processing like deep abandonment wounds and deep inner trauma and also being like abandoned by money. How convenient. And I spent a while feeling really full of like self-pity. And that was okay. That was part of the process. And I reached this one point where I started to feel really angry. Like, what the fuck, universe? Like, what happened? Right. And I was talking to a dear friend who pointed back to me like, yeah, tell me, keep going. She just kept poking me to be like, say more about the anger, say more about the anger, say more about the anger. And what happened in that moment was the complete turning point for my whole business, right? There's many turning points, but there was this huge turning point because in that moment of being angry, I started to remember like, oh, I'm really good at making money. What the fuck? This doesn't have to be hard. This doesn't have to be hard, right? And I remembered my own power, right? In the process of being angry, I remembered my power. And so, Jean, you said like, I have been working forever. Like I deserve to be compensated. And what that to me is saying that there's some part of you who's like, yeah, we don't deserve shit, right? Which we all have, right? So no shade. And so, yeah. And so again, I would offer that these emotions, the more we give them space, the more they like suck our own power back into us. And we get to move like faster and farther because we're not fighting against ourselves, right? You just metabolize that angry self who turns out to be your power self. And then you take big steps. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with folks? I love this tangent. I had other places we were going to go. I'm here for the tangent. I'm curious to know if folks have as you're listening to this, if folks have other kind of gremlins that they would like to speak to, like these voices or these emotions or these wounds around their business that come up. Yeah, go ahead, Kaya.
I kind of mentioned this earlier, and I think it's very much related to anger, actually, but I have this just victim mentality gremlin. And my dad was emotionally and verbally abusive as a kid, so I really was victimized. And I actually did a mushroom journey earlier this week to experience that, and everything you've been saying is really resonating because I just like had to like be on the floor in child's pose, like sobbing, because like I needed to really honor the fact that like I was a victim, but I'm not in my business. You know what I mean? So it's like that one feels like a struggle to me because it doesn't, anger is like, at least I can see how that's bringing me power, but just feeling like a victim feels, I did get angry as well because I'm mad, but then that feels like blame, anger at someone outside of myself. So I think that's my big one, like feeling like things are happening to me. And I know when I'm in like that pure flow love state, I feel like everything's happening for me. And like, even when things go wrong, like I can get all these lessons. And like, we've all been in that place, right? Where it's like, everything's going wrong, but like I know it's all for the best and I trust in the universe. And then like the other times where it's like the world's against me, I'm never going to get anywhere, and it's everyone else's fault, and it's definitely not my fault.
And we have a tendency then to judge that, right? So that voice shows up that's like, I'm having a pity party, and also now I'm judging the pity party. So it's like double dose, right?
Right.
So when we have these, when we have these core wounds, right, these experiences of fracture, such as abuse, abandonment, like manipulation, some part of ourselves loops in that space, right? Some part of ourself kind of gets stuck in this loop of in this case, victim, right? What ends up happening for most of us is that we then perpetuate that very experience by continuing to reject, right? So there's this part of you who feels that she is victim. And in response, we have a tendency to tell her she's not a victim. Tell her to get over it. Which is probably exactly what you heard, right? Yeah. So you are unintentionally actively recreating the very experience that you had, right? Which is like, I feel like victim, no, I'm not, get over it, right? I feel like victim, shut up, you're annoying, right? What ends up happening when we take the moment like you did with this gorgeous mushroom journey of like actually sitting with this wound, sitting with the victim or whatever the emotion might be, what ends up happening is we're no longer fighting it. We're no longer in resistance to it, right? All of that energy that goes into like ignoring and pushing away and making wrong, instead, that victim self, all she wants is to be seen. Just like my 4-year-old, when she's having a meltdown, all she wants is to be validated, right? And held, and also maybe get a popsicle, right? But like, but like our hunger, you know, when you're sad, you know, when you're upset about something and you sit down to talk to somebody and they immediately try to fix your problem and you're like, this is not what I signed up for, right? Because before we can fix a problem, we just want to be seen. And so it seems silly because we've been conditioned that this is like wasted energy and effort. But when these complicated emotions show up in our business, when we actually witness and integrate them, again, they have tremendous wisdom. And also, then we're no longer fighting ourselves. That's when you make powerful moves, right? That's when you can see clearly. That's when you can show up with greater magnetism, because instead of being at war with a million parts of yourself, you're integrating and you're integrating and you're witnessing, right? And so, and sometimes the wisdom of this part isn't totally clear, right? Like, what's the wisdom of victim? Maybe it's not clear immediately, but sitting compassionately with her and making her not wrong, which you're clearly already in the journey of, at the very least begins to create non-resistance, right? And so like there's the stage of like ignoring and resisting to witnessing to integrating and receiving the wisdom of, and you're just on that journey. And then this victim pal will show back up and you'll just go on another journey with her, deeper and deeper and deeper, right? She'll be your teacher.
Friends forever.
Friends forever. I call that, for me, I have shame snakes, right? Shame knows that I turned into these little snakes in my belly and I'm like, oh, hey pal, see you again, right? Mika, you have your hand raised.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that my starting point is similar to Kaya's. Have not started a business, or just I'm hugely under earning in it, and not really showing up. And yeah, I have ideas. But I think that I don't feel like I quite see how the pieces are connected or like the shape of this clearly yet. But I think there's a block for me around like figuring out, feeling like I have to know upfront, like, what is the legacy? Like, what am I trying to birth into this world? And I think the things that I'm trying to birth go against my family's ancestral patterns. Like, there's like a big history on both sides of my family of domestic violence getting passed down. And so I'm like trying to break those cycles. And like that feels really tied to money. Like money feels like safety, I think, or like options. But I think I also maybe have a part that feels like guilty because I'm like, the thing that frees my family and I also feels like abandoning my family, and I feel confused about that.
Yeah. Oh, Mika, I just love everything that you're speaking to and want to witness, like, of course, moving forward with clarity feels confusing because you're speaking to undoing like generational legacy of trauma and pain and suffering. You're talking about creating a path for yourself that you haven't yet experienced, right? This kind of like safety of money is always telling our story of safety, among other things, right? And so creating an entirely new experience around safety and power and being seen. Of course you're standing on the edge being like, I'm not sure, right? Or I have all these ideas and I don't know what step to take, or I'm afraid to take the step because maybe it's the wrong one, right? I just want to say, of course, right? And this is the thing that is both the blessing and the curse of being what I call a spiritual entrepreneur, which is to say that your business is this place that heals and transforms you. It's a place where you are constantly evolving, right? Like you're not here exclusively, like selling widgets. You're not selling widgets. You're this space is you actively birthing you and changing and transforming. Like these are big things. And I just want to say it gets to be okay for big things to feel big, right? We can have a tendency to be like, I haven't done it yet. What's wrong with me? It's like hard things are hard, right? Big things are big. And also, one of the layers that I hear popping up, which is I appreciate you bringing back because it had come up earlier and I meant to speak to it, is the protective layer of perfectionism, right? So one of the things that can happen in trying to figure out action and strategy and offers is this desire to get it right because the stakes feel high, because we're carrying these stories of like there's real danger when we get things wrong, right? And capitalism also tells us like there's an exact step, so do it right, don't do it wrong, right? If you post 4 times a week instead of 3, no one will buy your offer, right? Like gotta figure out the algorithm, figure out there's all this noise of what the rules are that capitalism gives you. And then you have your own inner stories about your family and ancestral pain and trauma. And then you have this like big bright dream for a better experience and a different kind of world, right? And perfectionism shows up to protect us. The inner critic shows up to keep us safe. And also he will continually keep us on the sidelines, right? Because perfectionism will tell us it's not ready yet. It's not good enough yet, right? Or we will take action and perfectionism will cut us out from the knees, right? That voice of like, this is the inner critic who shows up loud when you make the post and then instantly you're like, that was terrible, right? Or you do the workshop and you're like, oh, that was the worst, right? So, or you have a client who signed up with you and you spend all this time like worrying if it's good enough, right? This layer of protection and inner critic, who's loud for all my clients. If you're here, you have one. I have a type and it's big magic, loud inner critic, right? And I want to invite you to see that it is protection and also, right, because that can invite us to be compassionate with this inner critic. And also it keeps us frozen, right? Perfection is plastic, right? As in the plastic of like inorganic material that doesn't change, that doesn't decompose, that like is static. It's not organic, right? Nothing that is organic is static, but perfectionism tries to sell us on static. And so I would offer as like a path forward, first to begin just like lovingly peeling away this layer of perfectionism and begin to experiment with the idea that you could be messy in your business, which I bet is also, I bet it's hard for you to be messy in other areas of your life, right? And begin to experiment with what it would look like if I don't know what my offer is yet, right? But I'm gonna figure it out by what I call fumbling forward, right? Because I will share, I've been doing this for 4 years. I think I'm just figuring it out, right? And also everything I have done along the way has been tremendous and changed people's lives, and it's been a mess. And everything I continue to make will be tremendous and change people's lives, and it will be a mess, right? Yeah, so I would offer that I think the first and perhaps kindest layer to peel off might be tending to inner critic as ally, but also like begin to let her take a nap. Does that resonate?
Yeah, this is all amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Kaya's giving thumbs up. So I'm mindful of time. I wanted this to be 90 minutes. We're at 91. So all of this workshop, if this work resonates with you, I teach business, as you can tell, in a really different way, right? And we haven't even really got yet to like, I'm a big fan of like, let's deconstruct and then let's build something on top of what we've deconstructed. And often really it's happens at the same time, but this is our example of deconstruction. Tomorrow we're going to look a little bit at what the construction might be, right? What does it look like to build something that really nourishes you? So I would love to have you join. Otherwise you'll get the replay. And if this kind of work is the work you are looking for and the support and nourishment you are looking for, I would love to invite you into my group program. It's called the Business Incubator. I'm dropping the link here in the chat, but I'll also email it to you. In brief, it is 6 months long, and it is a journey of practical steps on understanding the mechanics of your business and understanding the mechanics of crafting an offer and using language that supports you, and untangling all these stories. So it's a dance between action and taking powerful steps while unraveling these stories that live under the surface. And it's a dance between those two that will take you all the way through. It's 6 months long because I don't think 3 months is enough to really change everything. And I am nothing if not interested in like big theatrical transformation for all. And it's on promotion right now. So it is a $3,500 group program, but right now it's $1,947 until June 15th. So you will have all these numbers in an email if you're like, Charlie Brown teacher voice is showing up. But also anyone who's interested in signing up before the 15th, in addition to the early bird rate, you also get a single session with me that you can use anytime during the 6 months of the program. So I would love to have you here. And there's also a payment plan and all of those sorts of things, but I would love to have you come on this journey if you are interested in building a business that takes care of you, that has a strategy that you love just as much as offers and service that you love. If you would like to feel safe and joyful in your business, I would fucking love to have you come on this journey with me. So take a look at that, shoot me an email, we can have chats. And whether it's a fit for you or not, come join me tomorrow. I would love to have you back. Any questions about anything that I just shared? You guys are tremendous. This was just so delicious. And I'm really, really grateful for the wide open hearts that you have brought to this. It speaks to the impact of your magic in the world. So thank you for showing up so big. I really, really, really appreciate this. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.